Ciao, I'm Eva and today we are going to cook together risotto allo zafferano. In order to make our risotto allo zafferano, what we need? Obviously we need rice. I'm going to use carnaroli rice, but if you have arborio or if you have vialone nano, you can use also these two kinds of Italian rice. For sure, guys, you can't use jasmine or brown rice or something like that because we need a very starchy rice to make our risotto creamy. I'm going to use 160 grams of carnaroli rice because the normal amount of rice that usually you eat in Italy is about 80 grams per person. Then we are going to use beef stock. Feel free to use beef stock, vegetable broth, chicken broth. If you use beef stock, the color of your rice will be much darker because the stock is darker. If you use a vegetable broth, your yellow will be much more light. So it depends which color do you want. So you can use both, but changing the color, it doesn't mean that will change the taste. And then we are going to use some white red wine, about half cup. Then we are going to use a little bit less than a quarter of white onion chopped. Then we're going to use some butter. Then I'm going to use about 30 grams of Parmigiano Reggiano. And also here, guys, please be sure that is the real stuff, otherwise your risotto can't taste as good as maybe you had in Italy. And then obviously we are going to use saffron. I'm using that in a bag, so it's a powder saffron. But if you have also the stem is the inside part of the flower, Harper, is not the outside part of the flower. It's called a pistil. So if you have this, it's okay, because we treat the saffron in the same way, in the bag, powder, or with the pistilli. So now that we have all our ingredients, let's cook, guys. The first step is to reheat our broth. We put it in a pot. We need a warm broth, guys, because this will be the liquid in which we are going to cook our rice. We don't want it to boil, but just enough warm that we can cook our rice. I'm using the broth that I made, so I put salt in my broth. But if you are going to use a broth that is not salty enough, please, guys, put some salt in the broth, because from this we will give salt to our risotto. What we are going to do to have the perfect risotto, we are going to toast our rice twice. The first time we are going to toast in a pot like that, without any kind of liquid, without any kind of fat, so no butter, no olive oil, nothing. We turn on the heat, medium temperature, guys. We don't want to burn the rice, but just we need to toast it. So we put the rice here. We need to toast the rice for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but guys, open your eyes, because this is a very critical moment. If you burn it, you don't have your risotto. You can feel with your hands the temperature of the pot, the temperature of the rice. Okay, after 2-3 minutes our rice is ready, so we change the pot. We leave the rice there. We take a pan, onion. We are going to use about 20 grams of butter. A question can be, but can I use the olive oil for the risotto? Yes, you can use also olive oil for risotto. but traditionally in the north of Italy they use most butter, so we don't want to touch the tradition of the north of Italy, south, east, west. It doesn't matter, we want to respect them, so I'm going to use butter. We let it melt. And we're going to add the rice. And stir a little bit. Guys, about 30-40 seconds, no more, just the time that the rice absorbs the butter is the moment of our dry white wine. Usually another question that people ask to me is, but I have to stir my rice always, or I can leave the rice there? Guys, as long as the quantity, the amount of liquid is enough to make our rice cook and not stick, you don't have to stay there and stir. But it's obvious you can't also run away and go and make shopping because your rice needs to be controlled, checked. So be there, patient, and you will have the best risotto of your life. As you can see, our rice absorbed all the wine, the alcohol is completely evaporated, so we are going to add our broth. The broth needs to cover a little bit the rice. So we need to control our risotto because while the rice absorbs the broth, the water evaporates, we need to add a small amount at the time. I reduced my fire, my temperature, so what we want is a very light bubbling. We don't need our rice just blah, 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 blah. No, just a little bit. As you can see at the beginning, the rice absorbed a lot of liquid because it needs to cook. So we are going to add a little bit more. 1, 2. For how long our risotto needs to cook? It depends what there is written on the box. Usually for the carnaroli we need in between 16, 17 minutes, sometimes 18. So read what there is written on the box of the rice that you use. So more or less in 16 minutes my risotto should be ready. So our rice is dry and we are going to add more broth. And this is what we are going to do during these 15-16 minutes. We will add some broth every time that our rice is dry, so it's the only thing that you need to do with the risotto, adding broth and wait. Now we are going to melt our saffron, so I'm using some broth. Here is my saffron. I'm going to put this here. So as you can see, the color is very yellow. And we are adding this to the risotto. And as you can see, our rice is changing color. I think in 3 minutes my risotto is ready. In Italy we treat the rice as a pasta, so we want rice that is al dente, not raw, but that is al dente. To be sure that for you it's cooked at the right moment, Try it, guys. It's the only way in which you can understand. Because my rice will be ready in about 2 minutes, I'm going to add the last amount of broth. After we add the last little of broth, we just need to let the risotto cook until it is enough thick and creamy. But guys, we don't want a soup and we don't want a hard bowl of rice. We are not making arancini, we are making a risotto. So use your your judge to understand when it's time to turn off the heat. But anyway, I will show you. Okay, our rice is cooked. As you can see, it's creamy, it's not liquid, it's creamy, it's not on hard bowl. So what we do, we turn off our heat. We put butter, we put our parmigiano, and we stir it. This is what in Italy we call mantecatura, and it's important, it's fundamental that you do this when your stove is off. Far from the fire, guys. After we make our mantecatura, we close our rice and we wait 2-3 minutes. And then it's time to serve and eat our risotto with zafferano. So guys, this is our risotto allo zafferano. Buon appetito!